Hi my egos, my name is Cedie and thank you so much for watching this video. And for today, we're going to have another lecture discussion on some theories of personality, giving you only the basic tenets, the core concept, and the important information you need to learn. I hope if this is your first time to visit my channel, please do subscribe at my channel and hit that bell button for you to get notified whenever I post a new video.
Don't forget to subscribe!
Hello everyone, welcome again to another lecture discussion to the theories of personality, and for this day we're going to have discussion on Erikson's theory of personality. Okay, so Erikson's is well known for his identity theory, or this is the post-Freudian theory. So one of the main elements of this theory is the psychosocial stages of development, where the ego identity develops. Okay, so according to him, identity crisis was one of the most important conflicts people face in development. So how come Erikson theory originated? So Erikson, this is just a brief information about the major proponent. Okay. Alright, so those are some information about Erikson. Alright, so the Freudian theory is the foundation for his life cycle approach to personality. It's the extension of psychoanalysis. Okay, so ego identity is being emphasized here. Extended Freud's infantile development stages, the oral, anal, phallic, and latency, and of course we have genital. So this is the extended stages. So in every stage, there is a psychosocial struggle that contributes to the development of personality. There is an ego conflict. Okay? From adolescence, he coined the term identity crisis. He emphasized also the importance of social, cultural, and historical influences. Okay, so the ego, alright, a very strong emphasis for Erikson is the person's ability to unify experiences and actions in an adaptive manner. Okay, so positive force to self-identity, a sense of I. Okay, this is the center of personality. This also helps us adapt to the various conflicts and crises of life and keeps us from losing our individuality to the leveling force of society. Okay, this develops on the stages of life. So for the ego, there are three interrelated aspects of the ego. The first is body ego. The body ego experiences with our own body, seeing our own physical self different from others. Are we happy with how we see? Kung ano yung ating itsura? Our body looks. Ego ideal naman represents the image we have of ourselves in comparison with an established ideal. This is responsible with our personal identity. Okay, sa kung sino talaga yung gusto natin maging. That is the ego ideal of what kind or what kind of person we want to become. Ego ideal. Ego identity is the image we have of ourselves in the variety of social roles we play. Okay, so ayun. Society's influence. The ego develops within a given society and influenced by child rearing practices and other cultural customs. So in-emphasize dito, hindi lang biological, importante din yung social and cultural factors sa growth ng bata. In-emphasize din sa kanyang theory is yung epigenetic principle. This is the ego grows as our organs do, developing sequentially with certain changes arising at a particular time. and with more recent development built upon previous structure. So the 8 stages of psychosocial development is the major foundation of this theory. For every stage, there is an interaction of opposite. There are harmonious and disruptive elements. Okay, this is the syntonic and dystonic. Okay, but both are in need for proper adaptation. Each stage, conflict produces an ego quality. Okay? So for every stage, there is an ego quality or ego strength. This is the basic strength. But if there is too little or basic strength, there could be a core pathology. Alright? So, yun yung opposite niya. So, again, epigenetic principle is the step-by-step growth of fetal organs. So, it means may growth po talaga but in a sequential order, predetermined rate, and in a fixed sequence of development. So ego follows the path of the epigenetic development. As our body organs matures, so as our ego, it also develops. One stage emerges from is built upon the previous stage, does not replace that earlier stage. For example, when children starts to crawl, of course, from crawling, they can walk, then run. From running, they can jump. Anything that grows has a ground plan, and that out of this ground plan, the parts arise, and each part having its time of special ascendancy until all parts have risen to a form of functional whole. Epigenesis refers to one characteristic develops on top of another in space and time. Okay? Alright, first of the 8 psychosocial stages is infancy. The first year of life expanded the notion of incorporation beyond the mouth to inclusive sense organs such as the eyes and the ears. So again, the theory of Erikson expanded the theory of Freud. Okay? The oral, the anal, the phallic, and the latency. That's why this is called the post-Freudian theory. The psychosexual mode here is the oral sensory, characterized by both receiving and accepting. Psychosocial crisis, basic trust versus basic mistrust. Basic strength is hope. Core pathology is withdrawal. Next, second is early childhood. Okay, 2 to 3 years old. This is the period that compares Freud's anal stage. Also includes the mastery of other body organs or functions such as walking and urinating. Okay, the psychosexual mode here is anal, urethral muscular. Children behave both impulsively and compulsively. It has a psychosocial crisis of autonomy versus shame and doubt. The basic strength is will. The core pathology is compulsion. The third stage is the placed age, 3 to 5 years old. This is a period parallel to Freud's phallic phase. Unlike Freud, however, Erikson saw that Oedipus complex as an early model of lifelong playfulness and the drama played out in children's minds as it attempts to understand the basic facts of life. So, the primary psychosexual mode here is genital locomotor. Okay, it means that children have both the interest of genital activity and increasing ability to move around. The psychosocial crisis for play age is initiative versus guilt. Basic strength is purpose. The core pathology is inhibition. All right, take note of those. It will that those are very important. Lalabas po yan sa board exam. Yung mga psychosocial, ito po yung mga basic strength and the core pathology and the conflicts, the psychosexual conflicts. Importante po yan. Next is the school age, 6 to 12 years old, a time of psychosexual latency. So latency po, it means na there is parang meron pong stop, no? So nagkakaroon po ng pause. So also a time of psychosocial growth beyond the family. The sexual development is latent during school age and the energy to learn the customs of their culture, including both formal and informal education. The psychosocial crisis here is industry versus inferiority. This is where children need to learn to work hard, but they also develop some sense of inferiority. The basic strength here is competence, and the core pathology is inertia. Okay? Next is adolescence. Adolescence begins with puberty and genital maturation. This is marked by a person's struggle to find ego identity. The psychosexual growth here is also a period of psychosocial latency. Okay, the psychosexual mode is puberty or genital maturation. Psychosocial crisis, identity versus identity confusion. Psychologically healthy individuals emerge from adolescence with a sense of who they are and what they believe in. Alright, so basic strength here is fidelity. The core pathology is role repudiation. Next is young adulthood. Young adulthood begins with the acquisition of intimacy about the age of 18 and ends in the development of generativity at the age of 30. The psychosexual mode is genitality, expressed as a mutual trust between partners in a stable sexual relationship. Okay, so this is where young adulthoods began to engage to intimate relationships. So the psychosocial crisis is intimacy versus isolation. Intimacy is the ability to fuse one's identity with that of another without fear of losing it. Whereas isolation is the fear of losing one's identity in an intimate relationship. The basic strength is love. The core pathology is exclusivity or the inability to love. Next is adulthood. 31 to 60 years old. This is a time when people make significant contributions to society. The psychosexual mode here is procreativity or caring for one's children, alright, or helping others develop. Okay? The psychosocial crisis here is generativity versus stagnation. The basic strength is care. Erikson saw care as taking care of the persons and products that one has learned to care for. The core pathology is rejectivity or the rejection of certain individuals or groups that one is unwilling to take care of. Okay? Next is old age. This is 60 to until death. Alright, so this is the last stage. The psychosexual mode here is generalized sensuality, taking pleasure in a variety of sensations. Okay? The psychosocial crisis is integrity. This is the maintenance of ego identity. And despair versus despair, the surrender of hope. The basic strength is wisdom. Okay. Core pathology here is disdain. A core pathology is marked by the feelings of being finished or helpless. Alright, please do memorize those psychosexual conflicts plus the core pathologies and those psychosocial crisis and basic strengths. Lalabas po yan sa board exam. Importante na importante po yan. Okay. Erikson's methods of investigation. So, first, he has anthropological studies. So, the most important anthropological studies for him is on South Dakota and the Yurok tribe of Northern California. He also has psychohistory, wherein he combined the methods of psychoanalysis and historical research to study several personalities. Okay, so Erikson's theory has generated a moderately large body of research, much of in investigating the concepts of identity and generativity in this section. Okay, so ego identity refers to the conscious sense of self that we develop through social interaction. Please remember the major definition of ego identity. All right. Okay, so those are some studies Okay, so this is the end of the lecture for Erikson Psychosocial Theory. I hope you've learned something from that. Just a tip, please remember every stage of all of those 8 stages of psychosexual development, and the basic strength, the and please also remember the problems that emerges, okay, or those the core pathology. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've learned something from this lecture. See you soon next time. And that's all for today, my egos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you share this to others, and don't forget to subscribe.